You are holding your 8-year-old daughter's crayon drawing. The subject: my family. There's a mom, a brother, a little dog. You are not there. It's not that she forgot. She simply draws the people who actually exist in her world. You run a stiff, heavily scarred thumb along the invisible white space on the paper. Your ears are still thick with the sound of gunfire from last month's deployment. But the silence of this empty house is what's truly tearing your eardrums apart. The civilian audience loves watching heroic movies. They crave supermen. They never see the cigarette ash falling onto divorce papers. 90%. That is the divorce rate here. The most exceptional man on the battlefield is merely a silent ghost, out of place in his own home. You have locked yourself inside a perfect system of imprisonment, an invisible four-pointed triangle binding every escape route: exhaustion, violence, silence, and ultimate isolation. You didn't join to seek glory. You stepped into this funnel to be smashed to pieces. The institutional machine doesn't need your old self. It dismantles your identity, only to reassemble it into an obedient weapon. And this is your story. A Navy SEAL. Rank 1. Bud. S. Candidate. You are standing there, a shaved head and a naive belief that willpower will conquer everything. You were wrong. Now you are a Bud. S. Candidate. Rank 1. The institution doesn't care about your college degree. It doesn't give a damn about the perfect physical fitness scores you once took pride in. They have only one frame of reference, measuring exactly when your mind breaks. You are standing in line with 184 other men. By the end of the course, 151 of these shadows will vaporize. Your cervical vertebrae are cracking. You and your boat crew have to carry a 200-pound log on your heads. If one guy slips and drops it, everyone goes back to the starting line. There is no pity. This process doesn't train your body. It is a highly precision-engineered machine designed to crush human dignity. Day 9. The biggest, strongest guy in your class, the one who broke every running record, steps slowly out of formation. You watch him take off his helmet liner and drop it in the sand. Ding, ding, ding. 3 dry rings of the brass bell. He quit. The instructors casually set up a table with hot coffee and donuts right next to the bell. They chew noisily. The smell of cinnamon sugar drifts past your nose in the biting cold. A cheap, yet exquisitely effective psychological manipulation trick. Then Hell Week hits. 132 continuous hours. You are thrown a total of 4 hours of charity to close your eyes. You sit submerged in the January Pacific waters. Your teeth chatter uncontrollably. Your body convulses in spasms like a seizure. You glance to your left. Your teammate is mumbling, talking to a ghost that isn't there. His brain is eating itself just to survive. Why did the strongest guy leave? Because his reason told him this torture was pointless. He quit because he was sane enough to follow logic. You don't ring the bell, not because you are stronger. You stay because you voluntarily flip the last switch of resistance in your brain. You embrace the absurdity. You allowed the machine to succeed in erasing your ego, turning you into a hollow tool. That is when you are ready for far worse. Rank 2. Petty Officer 3rd Class. Your eyes droop. Your hands are mechanically scrubbing a pitch-black gun barrel, not your gun. The sound of the wire brush scraping harshly. Repetitive. Soulless. The consequence of perfect obedience is a piece of metal pinned to your chest. The trident. You gently rub its freezing metal ridges. You once had the illusion that this was the finish line. No. It's a barcode. You've just been relabeled. Petty Officer 3rd Class. Rank 2. The bottom of the tactical food chain. In this platoon, you are nobody. You hump the heaviest comms gear. You clean weapons for the scarred veterans. They sit there, radiating the thick silence of men who have done things that can never be confessed. The first unwritten rule of the machine. Shut your mouth. Observe. First deployment. 2 in the morning. A mud brick compound with no name on the map. The platoon chief, an E7, raises his hand, signaling to halt. He knows there are muzzles waiting in ambush inside simply by analyzing the pitch of a stray dog's bark. You don't get to breach. You are shoved up onto the roof to pull overwatch. The 11-minute firefight down below is stretched by your nervous system into 11 hours of purgatory. You kneel there, waiting for a voice to crackle over the radio, so you know whether your brothers are alive or dead. Helplessness tears at your chest. A bullet snaps past exactly 6 inches from your temple. Half a step to the left, and you would be a corpse stuffed in a body bag. You flinch back, leaning against the rough brick wall. You stare blankly down at your hands. They are trembling violently, an involuntary tremor that lasts for 20 solid minutes. The chief steps onto the roof. He looks at your hands. He turns away. Not a single word of comfort. His silence teaches you a survival lesson. Every hand here trembles eventually. The machine only demands that you learn how to hide it. That night, you sit on your bunk. Staring at the satellite phone, you think about calling home. Then you put your hand down. Talking to your family now feels like trying to translate a dead language. They will never understand that ultrasonic hiss. The cord connecting you to the world of light has been severed. You have officially become a ghost of the institution. Rank 3. Petty Officer 2nd Class. Your eyes are glued to the dull gray block of C4 explosive on the scratched metal table. The sharp, chemical smell shoots straight up your nose. Your fingers unconsciously knead the plastic compound. The harsh, jarring sound of duct tape ripping fills the air. It was exactly that permanent fracture from your family's language that honed you into a perfectly meshed gear. You are now a Petty Officer 2nd Class, Rank 3. Time now shrinks into a ruthless loop. 18 months of soulless workups, traded for 6 months of blood-soaked deployments. You selected a new identity for yourself within the machine, the Breacher. You learned to quantify violence, calculating the net explosive weight, the thickness of the door frame, the minimum safe distance. Miscalculate by a single gram, and the men stacked behind you will die. The system constantly demands absolute precision from a cold mind. A thick cloud of dust hits your face as the hinges blow. The tactical flashlight sweeps across the dark corner of the wall. A sharp gunshot rings out right next to your ear, followed by the thin shriek of a child. Abrupt cut. Back to the present. Your eyes are staring down at a plate of cold food. The clinking sound of a fork against porcelain shatters the silence. Your hand is crushing a napkin in a restaurant. Third deployment. Intel reported the target was alone. A bureaucratic lie. The smoke cleared. A woman and 2 kids. The target pulled a child in front of him as a human shield. Your teammate pulled the trigger because there was no other choice. The bullet tore through the air, grazing the top of the kid's head by mere millimeters. Medically, 0 casualties. But psychologically, that bullet lodged straight into your frontal lobe, rusting there for months on end. The country changes. The language changes. The process does not. Find, fix, finish, repeat. You realize the system has completely rewritten your brain's architecture. You've become an exceptional machine of violence, yet crippled in the face of everyday rhythms. You can clear an armed room in 3 seconds, but right now, you cannot sit and eat a peaceful dinner. Your eyes constantly scan for every exit. Your brain unconsciously maps the position of every stranger's face. The girl sitting across from you looks at you, whispering, "Are you okay?" You nod. It's a programmed soothing reflex. The truth requires a language she would never comprehend and would unearth torments you are no longer capable of controlling. Your physical body is here, but your essence is locked away in unnamed missions. Rank 4. Petty Officer 1st Class. You upend the plastic bottle. 2 ibuprofen pills rattle into your calloused palm. You swallow them dry. No water needed. The acrid smell of burnt coffee mixed with the musty scent of paperwork hits your nose. Your gaze is fixed on a thick stack of combat readiness reports. The rustling of turning pages sounds hollow. You left the isolation of the civilian dinner table to lock yourself inside this quiet briefing room. It was that very fracture from the outside world that pushed you deeper into the system. Petty Officer 1st Class, Rank 4. You joined to be a warrior. Now you've become a bureaucrat in uniform. For every hour on the trigger, there are 1,000 hours filling out forms. Medical inventories, intel reports, risk assessments. Lifeless, cold rows of Excel spreadsheets. You despise this bureaucratic process, but you grit your teeth and fill in every box. Because at this rank, you understand a brutal unwritten rule. Miss, just one checkbox on a form, and a man goes home in a flag-draped coffin. You look up. You look at the new guys assigned to the platoon. Eager, naive, eyes shining bright, believing they are immortal. Exactly like you 6 years ago. The gurgling sound of breathing through bubbling blood, the frantic tearing of gauze. Your eyes stare at the dark red pool of liquid spreading across the shattered tiles. Just 1 second of eagerness, overriding reason. The 24-year-old kid rushed around the corner. A burst of automatic fire. The plates caught most of it, except for a single round that slipped through the gap under his armpit. 4 minutes. It takes exactly 4 minutes to drain the blood from a human life. The medic is screaming, doing chest compressions, while you silently step over that pool of blood to continue clearing the room. The mission doesn't have a pause button for casualties. Reality pulls you back. You gently massage your heavily taped ankle. Your knee joints creak after thousands of parachute hard landings. Your left ear is thick with a permanent ringing from a directional charge. Your body right now is a receipt detailing the debts the machine has wrung out of you. You good? The commanding officer casually asks as he walks by. I'm good, you reply reflexively. Everyone lies. And the system couldn't care less. The institution doesn't consider these injuries a sacrifice. In the language of the machine, they call it the depreciation of assets. Rank 5. Chief Petty Officer. The thick darkness of 3 a.m. Your eyes sweep along the rustling tree line in the backyard of a Virginia Beach suburb. Your index finger unconsciously taps against the grip of a non-existent pistol on your hip. The chirping of crickets is crushed by chronic tinnitus. You crush your cigarette stub against the cold railing. The smoke dissolves into the fog. It was that smooth lie, I'm good, that bought you the gold-fouled anchor on your collar. Rank 5. Chief Petty Officer. You become the backbone of an entire platoon. 16 lives placed in your hands. But in return, the house behind you is now empty. The divorce papers lie on the kitchen island, pinned under an overflowing ashtray. 5 deployments have ground away every human part of you. Your ex-wife called it irreconcilable differences. The truth is, she couldn't live with a ghost who wakes up in the middle of the night, standing guard in the backyard, searching for paranoid threats. The trident has finished stripping you of your right to be a normal human being. The frame flickers under fluorescent lights. You are looking down at a tactical map. A long, clean finger points at the coordinates. The young officer's voice is steady, confident. The harshest unwritten rule at this rank isn't the art of pulling the trigger, but the art of manipulation. Your officer in charge, OIC, a prestigious academy graduate, 4 years younger than you, smart, motivated, and has never caught a piece of shrapnel. While you are a walking dictionary of scars, you have to mold his textbook plan into a surviving reality. Your mission is to keep your men from dying senselessly in crossfire, while simultaneously suppressing your own ego so the officer believes he is truly controlling the chessboard. A bitter endurance. The rhythmic thudding of chopper blades presses hard against your chest. The metallic stench of blood hits your nose. Your gaze is locked on your trembling tactical gloves. 7th deployment. The target fired through the drywall. The femoral artery of the guy under your command was torn open. Rounds snapped fiercely over your head. You knelt in a slippery pool of blood, cranking a tourniquet down so hard the kid screamed in agony. The other hand holding the radio calling for medevac. Now, you are sitting on the helo. Your operator survived. You pull out your crumpled notebook to write the sit rep. The ballpoint pen scratches against the paper. You look down. The kid's blood has dried black, crusting in the crevices of your gloves. Tomorrow's report will be stamped successful. No one will read the sheer terror between those bureaucratic lines. Magazines can be reloaded. Blood on gloves can be washed off. But the ultimate isolation of carrying the lives of other men on your shoulders, that is the bullet that penetrates the deepest. It never stops bleeding. Rank 6. Senior Chief Petty Officer. Leaving the metallic stench of dried blood behind in the helo cabin, you retreat deep into a Tactical Operations Center, TOC, flooded with sterile blue light. The only sound is the cold hum of the server cooling systems, and your fingers tapping dryly, tensely, against the edge of the plastic keyboard. The physical distance from the battlefield is directly proportional to the rank you wear on your collar. Senior Chief Petty Officer. one of the 2,500 men standing at the top of the food chain. You are no longer the one physically kicking down rotting wooden doors. You coordinate 64 operators through the gray infrared streaks of drone feeds. You watch the tiny silhouettes of your teammates breach a compound. Suddenly, a strange sense of envy rises up, bitter in your throat. You envy them. You miss the simplicity of violence. Door breached. Next room. Pull trigger. Everything is so crystal clear. But here, you are stuffed into a bureaucratic cage. Your duty is to draft meticulous risk assessments for politicians in Washington. Men in suits, paper pushers, who have never smelled gun smoke, are holding pens and deciding the fate of your brothers. The silence of this room is slowly suffocating you. The TOC monitor flickers and goes dark. The scene shifts to the gray of an overcast sky. The mournful, haunting sound of taps weaves through rows of stark white headstones. Rainwater drips from the brim of your cover down the bridge of your nose, freezing cold. The fourth funeral in 2 years. None of them died from enemy fire. They killed themselves. The man lying under that soaked grass is a sniper you personally mentored from his early days. You taught him how to read the wind. You stood in the frame at his wedding. 3 weeks ago, he was still calling, joking about something his little boy did. Then he put a pistol to his head and ended his life right in his garage. You chose to believe he was okay, because playing along with a lie is always easier than confronting the rotting, dark corners of the psyche. His mother is standing on the other side of the grave. She looks up. Her eyes drill straight into the gold-plated medals on your chest, looking at you as if you were the one who pulled the trigger. The organization doesn't provide you with a form to answer that gaze. You stand rooted in the rain, swallowing a chilling truth. The institutional machine doesn't just destroy the enemy on the battlefield. It follows the soldiers all the way home and slowly eats away at them in the dark. Rank 7, Master Chief Petty Officer. The cold rainwater from the cemetery that year seems to have frozen permanently inside you. The sharp clack of leather heels echoes dryly down the polished marble corridor. Mixed in is the faint, lifeless clicking of 2 artificial titanium knee joints. Your eyes cast downward, staring at hands crisscrossed with keloid scars, mechanically smoothing out a crease in your uniform. It was the absolute silence in the face of death that pushed you to the final peak of the machine. Master Chief Petty Officer. Rank 7. The apex of the tactical food chain. You are sitting in a Pentagon briefing room, surrounded by perfectly tailored wool suits. They have clean fingers, have never worn body armor, have never smelled the stench of burning flesh. Yet they are holding pens, voting on the lives of your brothers. You smile, a ruthless, political smile, forged to bow before men who will never understand the cost of blood. The frame blurs, abruptly cutting to a new scene, a cramped, stifling space. The pungent smell of chamomile tea. The field of vision narrows to a framed photo of a soldier in wood, the top left corner wrapped in a thin black ribbon. A suppressed, choking sob. Your physical body is now a debt receipt for the organization. Metal knees, fused lumbar vertebrae, reconstructed shoulder joints. But physical disability has never compared to the oppressive weight found in civilian living rooms. You sit there, facing the mother of an operator who just came home in a body bag. She clutches the tightly folded triangular flag, looks you straight in the eye, and asks, trembling, "Did he suffer?" You choke back the lump in your throat. You boldly lie. "He went very fast, ma'am. He didn't feel a thing." You have absolutely no idea what the truth is. But you must personally strangle your rusting conscience to keep the system running cleanly. Thick darkness. The coffee maker hisses softly at 4 a.m. The smell of burnt roasted beans overpowers the cold sweat sticking to the collar of your t-shirt. Your first marriage shattered. You are still breathing today entirely thanks to your second wife. She is a nurse. Someone used to broken bodies who doesn't demand that you be whole. When the nightmares strangle your throat in the middle of the night, she doesn't turn on the lights and shine them in your face. She doesn't interrogate you. She just quietly brews a mug of black coffee and sits next to you in the dead silence of the dark. The faint clink of the ceramic mug touching the table is the only thing anchoring your battered humanity from slipping entirely out of this world. The machine has wrung you dry. Now, it has only left behind a titanium shell. Your eyes drop to the wooden shadow box in your hands, the cold glass. Inside are your rank insignias, challenge coins, and the trident. The fluorescent light flickers. The salty sound of Coronado waves hisses from an old radio. You light a cigarette. Gray ash flutters down, landing on the toe of your scuffed boots. The years pass, leaving behind a dry retirement ceremony in a drywall briefing room. 28 years of purgatory are now permanently nailed behind glass. You buy a dilapidated wooden house right by the ocean because you cannot survive without the sound of it. But the machine doesn't let you go. At 5 a.m., you jolt awake. Your titanium knees ache. You turn your headphones to max volume to crush the permanent ringing in your ears. You shuffle around your peaceful civilian neighborhood, your eyes still unconsciously scanning for a sniper on the neighbor's roof. Survival mode can never be switched off. You tell the young guys that the trident is the heaviest thing a man will ever wear, heavier than body armor, heavier than the bleeding body of a teammate, that it will swallow their ego whole. They nod and turn away, believing they are immortal. You were exactly like them once. Abrupt cut back to the foggy beach. The space is hazy. The intermittent whistling of the wind. The deafening sound of a brass bell rings out. Ding, ding, ding. Right now, on the sands of Coronado, 180 young men are standing, shivering in the dark. They crave glory. They are completely blind to the divorce papers, the crippled joints, and the ultimate isolation. They believe they are the exception. The majority will shatter. The stubborn ones left will pin on the badge of honor, only to morph into soulless ghosts in their own lives. A ruthless, institutional loop. You crush your cigarette out. The ocean still callously crashes its waves, and the brass bell still waits patiently.